Group. Okay, it looks like they're doing that now.
Oh, okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, Raymond,
Yes.
Brett's not here, and since you're on Google Meet, I was just going to have somebody in the room run the meeting. Is that okay?
Yes, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. So, Joseph, you're going to run the meeting,
Thank you, Joseph.
according to Gail?
Not showing up last month. Thanks a lot, guys. So good morning. I suppose we call us to order and then somebody takes roll.
Brett Johnson, Raymond Mondragon,
Yes.
Danny Jariwala, Gail Tarson,
Yes.
Kevin Cass,
Yes.
Alan Kinlan,
Yes.
Matthew Glenn,
Yes.
and Joseph Blaschke.
I'm here. So we have a quorum. Has everybody reviewed the minutes from August the 17th? Have any amendments or changes? If no amendments or changes, I'd entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Second?
Moved and seconded here. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. All right, we've approved the minutes. Mr. Howald, if you would, review this economic incentive plan briefly so we can get it passed, that'd be terrific.
Absolutely, thank you. And so obviously the city of Clovis has been working with TIP Strategies over the last several months to redevelop and redo our economic incentive plan. And so today we have with us Tom Stellman and Mishka, and so they are going to present the findings of the plan to you for your consideration. So with that, I will turn it over to Tom.
Good morning, everybody. Am I getting an echo? Which end?
Yes, I hear it now.
Yeah, Tom, you're good.
I'm okay on your side?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm getting a little echo, but you're not getting it. Okay. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, that has loaded now.
Okay. So it's been a pleasure to work with the group. If you guys don't mind, 1 second, let me work on a technical issue. All right, one more. Still hear me?
Cutting in
Yes, we
and
can
out.
hear you.
Okay. All right. So the project that we were hired to do for the city of Clovis was to develop an economic development strategic plan. And today I've got a few slides. I think you guys have been shared the draft of the plan. This presentation I have is a relatively high level summary of that. So I can quickly go through that, and you guys may have to stop me if there's something that is confusing or something that you have a question about. I'll be happy to stop there, but then I know we can take any questions. And if you have specific questions from the plan, I can refer back to the plan itself. So from a background standpoint, the goal of this project was to develop a plan that would include an implementation strategy, with goals and timelines for achieving goals. It's not just meant for the CED, or not just meant for the city, and not just meant for the chamber. It was really designed to take a broader look at what does economic success look like for the city of Clovis. We went through a 3-phase process starting earlier this year. We did a phase where we did a lot of research and roundtables and a lot of data. We had a phase where we presented recommendations to a steering committee and got feedback. And from that, we developed the plan and the matrix. We met with the strategy committee, or the strategic planning committee, back in September. They had a chance to look at the plan. They reviewed it and gave us feedback. I think in the draft that I shared with Justin and with Claire, there were actually some yellow highlights that were still in that draft that were the recommendations from that committee about things that should be changed. So we made those changes. And then after this meeting today, if there's any adjustments, we'll make those and be good to go. So we went through a lot of data. We delivered to the committee and Claire and Justin a data file that includes a lot of information on population, workforce, housing, industry, commuting patterns. So we looked at a lot of data to understand the Clovis area. We did several meetings with the steering committee. We did one-on-one interviews. We had roundtable discussions, both in person and over Zoom. We met with major employers. I did a visit to the community that, I was able to go to Southwest Cheese. I was able to go to several other manufacturers and major employers, hospital, spent time with Clovis Community College and others, really got an understanding. And Claire even gave me a tour of the zoo and I got to meet the camel. So that was the highlight. So we also did a number of other in-person meetings within the community at that time and an opportunity workshop. So we identified a number of challenges, and I'm not going to go into depth here. This is just giving you guys background so that you know that if we were there, we really understood what was going on and some of the things that we heard. You guys, it's kind of a double-edged sword. You're driven a lot by Cannon Air Force Base and the employment there. That is your biggest economic driver. And you've done a great job of diversifying the economy over the years, but there's still, a limit relative to other areas. Some of the things that we're all dealing with are supply chain disruptions and what that means for our ability to get access to deliveries and be able to build houses and everything else. Water availability is identified as a future challenge for the community, but I know that there have been huge steps made in mitigating that in terms of accelerating your availability of kind of long-term water supply. And then I think one of the biggest challenges is just, how do you keep the talent in your community? How do you make sure that those who are graduating have jobs, make sure that those that might be separating from service from the military have an opportunity and would like to stay in the area. Number of opportunities there that are essentially challenges. Biggest strength, one of your biggest strengths, Cannon Air Force Base, huge veteran military spouse talent pool there. We also got a chance to see Cummins Diesel, in addition to Southwest Cheese. You have two really stellar employers in the area that are doing manufacturing. You have access to higher education through Eastern New Mexico, Community College, your school district and private schools that are there also offer up quality education. I think one of the things that is a real asset. The last time I was out there, I was able to fly directly into Clovis Regional Airport. That direct service out of Dallas and Denver is a big deal. But that asset also represents a number of opportunities there. You've got your parks, available housing stock, gigabit city. Actually, I think you guys are, the gigabit is the wrong terminology, it's TrueBit city. And then obviously the work that you guys do with EIB and Clovis Economic Development, I think the structure that you guys have in place and the leadership that you have there is very strong and something that needs to be continued. So the overall plan is based on three areas of recommendations. The core recommendation for you guys is business development. You're taking care of existing business, recruiting new business into the community. Look, what kind of sites do you have? Does your current industrial park meet your needs? Do you need to expand that? Doing everything that you can to support, the continuation of missions at Cannon, but also the supplier networks. It's essentially an entire city there that is part of your economic success. Supporting entrepreneurship and small business. One of the biggest issues in economic development right now is having access to a workforce. So the second bucket is around making sure that we have workforce to support the industries that are here. And there's a number of specific recommendations within the plan. One of the things that I'll call out is the veteran and military spouses kind of inventory. And I'll talk about that here in a minute as an opportunity for you guys. And then quality of place, being able to tell the stories about what you have to do to support the talent that you would attract and retain in the community, we think is a big deal. Downtown, you guys have lots of good things going on down there, kind of new restaurants and other things that are opening up. We think there's a lot of potential there. Improving your gateways, and housing. We think there are some specific things that you guys can do around housing to support economic health here. So I'm going to pause for a moment, just from a presentation standpoint, do a check in, Justin, or anyone else, whether am I working at a good pace here? Are you guys okay?
Thank you, Tom. Yes, you seem to be moving along just fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure since I can't see you guys, I don't know if everybody's raising their fist in rebellion or, what's going on in the background. So,
No, you haven't lost anybody yet. You're good.
all right. All right. Well, so the three primary goals: business development, talent, and quality of place, are the framework for the plan. And then within each one of these goals, we have a set of specific strategies. And so there's a strategy about business retention, business recruitment, site development, supporting Canon, the opportunities there, entrepreneurship, and small business. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give a highlight to the level of detail provided, like in 1.2 and 1.5. I'm not going to go through the whole plan, but you guys want to give you guys a sense of what we're thinking in those areas. And then I'll do the same for talent. I'll talk about a couple of ideas that we think make sense to talk about today, just to give you a level of the detail. And then I'll do the same thing for quality of place around storytelling. So once again, I'm not going to go through the full plan. You guys have a copy of it, but just wanted to tell a couple of stories here. So the business recruitment, I think that you guys are right for continuing some of the things that have worked well for you, leveraging off of the agriculture and dairy industry to attract Southwest cheese. And so, it's the more that you can do to support that kind of success makes a lot of sense. But we also think that there are opportunities around aviation and aerospace. I think that the fact that you have Canon, you have the airport, you have Aerotech, and there's a trend now toward sort of a distributed network among airports that we think represents opportunity, and specific opportunities under the master plan that's being implemented by the city of Clovis Airport around creating maintenance repair opportunities there. We think makes sense. Continuing down the path of Southwest cheese, looking for other related dairy related products. I know when we met with Southwest Cheese and asked the question about, do you have suppliers or can you put in other lines here? And they said that, part of their challenge is that they're a kind of a white label. They produce cheese for a number of manufacturers. And so bringing those other manufacturers in might create some problems because they would essentially be, competitors for what they're doing. But they did feel like there were opportunities for maybe additional whey related products and others. Logistics and distribution, I think, is that's long been an opportunity for you guys because of BNSF with the multimodal facility. You also have I think, a competitive advantage because of the service provided by Plateau, and marketing that could position you guys. And I think you also have a building there next to Clovis College that could serve, I think it served as a call center / tech support. So you've got something to offer up to a company that's looking to locate remotely. And then we continue as a country to invest in alternative energy. There's this huge movement toward electrification of vehicles. You're seeing a number of announcements. There's venture capital going into these types of companies across the country. So we still think that there's opportunities for you to exploit that there. I mentioned the MRO. We did work for Abilene a couple of years back, and obviously they have Dias and they have their regional airport, have been successful in attracting MRO facilities for American Airlines and others. I just wanted to throw that out there as a potential opportunity for you guys. On the entrepreneurship side, you guys have the current Clovis Business Enterprise Center, which I think is a kind of an innovation or incubation type hub. We feel like there's an opportunity to up your game there, potentially co-locate or create some co-working space around that and to support that. There's a group out of Fargo, North Dakota that we've worked with closely in the past who have made this a priority, and as a consequence have had new business supported in that community through a number of programs. We think that that needs to be a core of what you do and support for economic development. On the talent development side, one of the ideas is to, and this came out of meetings with both Southwest Cheese and with Cummins, is just the need for more folks who have trades and or technical skills. And the school district and Clovis College obviously offer up programs, but I think this needs to be made a priority. I think that the industry is willing to step up and actually share in some of the cost and maybe provide equipment for that. When we talk to Clovis College, they know that this is part of their master plan. In other words, they're planning to move from, I think they're in probably 5,000 square feet up to about 30,000 square feet and create a new building where they could consolidate a lot of the technical training, whether it's pneumatics or mechanical or electrical and welding, into a facility that could accommodate more students because the demand is there. So perhaps in the short term, there are opportunities for you guys to identify a temporary building where some of this could happen. But we think that should be a priority within the workforce side of what you guys do. And there is an example, there are examples of these types of consolidated and or partnership collaborative models across the country. One that the community that we worked in out in Northeast Texas that has brought together the school district, the college, and local industry to all partner together to create a space where they can kind of up their game in this area. The other idea that when we met with the transition office with Canon, they do track somewhat where, what spouses are up to and what those who are separating from service. But we helped Killeen, Texas, which is essentially the gateway for Fort Hood, in setting up something called the Veterans Inventory Program, where they actually track, those that are leaving. They ask them to, through the TAP program or ACAP program, the Army's version of that, they ask those that are separating from service to fill out forms about what they're interested in, what their skill sets are, and then they offer that up and they track it over time in order to make sure that they're offering up employment and meeting the needs of those that are separating from service. They actually use this as an economic development tool because talent is such a big deal right now. So by capturing this information about the spouses and what their skill sets are and what those that are separating from service and their skill sets, and others that are currently enrolled, still in the service but want to offer that up. And they use that as a recruitment tool because they offer it up to employers and say, look, we've got this population or community that doesn't necessarily show up in the economic and demographic data that is interested in staying here if there was a job available. And so they use that as a recruitment tool. And we think there's an opportunity for you guys. And when we talked with Rick, with Canon, he was all on board and supporting that. So we think that could work. One of the other things that we heard when we did our focus group meetings is that everybody there are many people saying, well, what is there to do in Clovis? And we recognize that there are many assets, from the zoo to the parks to the downtown to other assets within the community that many people may know about, but there's an opportunity to really tell the story about Clovis locally. What are the things to do, and what are all the positive things that are happening in the community? And there are a number of communities we've worked with where they'll launch a, in this case, we call it the This is Clovis like storytelling campaign, where you highlight through a series of videos and social media everything that's going on in the community on a consistent basis. And this is not just something owned by the city, it's something that the Chamber and Main Street and others all pitch in to make it a consistent campaign. So that is it for my presentation. I would be more than happy to answer any questions or specific questions that you guys have for from the document itself. I know right now, Justin, our plan is we are going to meet with the steering committee on Thursday of next week and go through an implementation workshop. You know, we prepared an actual detailed implementation plan for the group, and we're going to go through that and sort of gain sort of commitments from each of the partners and help kind of facilitate who's going to be doing what and when they're going to do that. And then separate from that, I think we have a presentation to council that evening on the 17th. So I will stop there. And I did see, Raymond, you had your hand raised.
Yes, Tom, just curious, was there anything in the report that's going to be included in regards to the recent cannabis approval by the legislature? Because that seems to be really a growing economic initiative. I think we have like 16 dispensaries, if I'm right, Matt Cheston.
I think it was around 12 dispensaries. I'm not sure though the exact number.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious if anything was stated in that economic and regarding cannabis, because we could potentially work with manufacturing of potentially cannabis manufacturers.
Yeah, at the beginning of the process, Raymond, that came up. We did not sort of put it in as a recommended strategy based on how that was going to play out, but that obviously is an opportunity. I know it can be a politically sensitive one, and so it's one that will need to happen as you implement this plan, but it's not one that we pointed out as, hey, this is what we're recommending. Based on the steering committee's feedback, they weren't necessarily interested in making that a priority in the short term.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't talking about making it a strategy, but perhaps a statement in regards to what's happening in New Mexico as far as the growth and the activity of cannabis in the state,
Yeah.
the city.
Yeah.
And Raymond,
currently there's not like a background piece on that within the plan.
And if I
Okay.
and if I may, it seemed. I mean, I was reading an article in Albuquerque Business Journal a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about how it could be changing, that cannabis and the cost of it, etc.
And the other thing that I would add is that, I mean, we do talk about manufacturing within the plan itself. And so, I mean, I think it's encompassed within that.
Yeah, I would put the subsector within that.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Justin. One other thing, Tom, if you don't mind, is we just completed, and I said we Eastern Plains Council of Governments, we just submitted to EDA our final report on the pandemic, and there's some interesting analysis on the ag side, the dairy industry, and then a lot of data in there. Would you be interested in that document? I'd be happy to email it to you.
Yeah, we would love to see that. We were shared some information, I think, by Vincent with the council, and he had some great feedback. As a matter of fact, a lot of the highlighting within the document that was a lot of recommendations that your organization through Vincent made, and so we added those to the document.
Okay, I'll email Vincent and have him email you that document.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
I got it. Last time we met, we talked about the recruitment for medical. I didn't see any,
It's in here, I think,
did I miss it?
on oh, man.
Yeah,
So healthcare? Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
When we met with the hospital, that you guys, that was a priority in terms of talent recruitment. So we specifically called that out.
It's 2.5, so under wraparound services, 2.5.1. We talk about healthcare.
And Mr. Glenn, thank you for meeting with, Glencoe for meeting with Tom and I.
Yeah, I think that our printouts only included the even numbered pages and not the odd. And so we're a little bit limited on this, but it was in the emailed attachment that was sent out last week. And healthcare had its own whole subsection
Okay.
and was very thoroughly addressed. Tom, thank you, and thank you Tip Strategies for working with the city to put this together. I think that y'all covered everything that the committee you've been working with has asked you to cover, and you've been very receptive to changes and influence along the way. Justin, do you have anything to add as we move forward here?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that when I compare this plan to our previous plan, this one is much more encompassing than what our previous plan was. You know, the last one looked at a lot of like the business development and retention aspect of it. This one takes in consideration, like Tom said, the talent portion of it, the quality of place portion of it, because that is economic development as a whole, and it's not just solely focused on, say, manufacturing. I mean, it does discuss, you know, retail sector within there, tourism sectors within there. So that all is economic development. So the next hard piece, as with any plan, is to start putting it into action. And so that's where I think that the steering committee and working on that matrix that Claire handed out earlier, that's the key component of everything, is so recognizing the fact that it's not just the city of Clovis, it's not just the CED that's going to have to be putting this into place, it's all of us. And so with each one of our organizations trying to carry this forward for the betterment of the community, I think will be the key component. So I certainly do appreciate Tom and Mishka and what they've done for us and being able to put this together and their recommendations and ideas from around the country. We can certainly learn from everyone. So I'm just looking forward to getting this in place and then putting it into action. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Do we have any other? Go ahead, Ray.
Mr. Chairman, I was going to go ahead and make the motion for approval or recommendation of the economic incentive plan as stated on the agenda.
Thank you, Ray. We've got a motion to recommend this plan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Yep, we do from both Gail and Kevin here. So all in favor of recommending that economic incentive plan, respond with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And so that motion carries unanimously as well. And Justin, you would provide with us, please, an Economic Development Fund financial report.
Absolutely. And Member Blaschke, and just for the committee's board's note, we're going to be meeting with the steering committee next Thursday at 1:30 in this room to go over that matrix. So certainly do invite this group to attend if y'all can make it. So on the financial reports, so for the month of October in revenue, the city of Clovis received $105,000. In year to date in revenues, we've collected almost $431,000, which is above what we've seen in the past fiscal year. So revenues coming into the fund are looking good. Expenditures so far for the month of October was $3,000. And what that $3,000 is when we get GRT, we have to pay the state admin fees. And so that's what that $3,000 worth of expenditures are for this month. Year to date, we have total expenditures of $88,000. And where that breaks down is we've done some software purchases for the GIS system for CED, maintaining the industrial park and mowing it. So that's all encompassed with this, as well as some contractual services with CED. So year to date, $88,000 in expenditures. The total fund itself, we have about $4.5 million And that's broken in between $1.3 million in investments and then another $3.1 million in cash and bank. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Howald on this? Okay. Seeing none, at this time I'd like to invite Tina up to give us an update on CED projects. And I didn't get to meet you last month, but welcome aboard. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you. I didn't get your name. What is your name?
I'm Joseph.
Joseph.
Yes,
Nice
ma'am.
to meet you. Good morning, and thank you for that reimbursement on the last visit for GIS planning. We thank you for that. So since our last meeting, some of the things that have happened is the CED and the Chamber hosted our legislators on the Water and Natural Resources Committee. Many of them were not aware of the Rock and Roll Museum, so they had a lot of fun down there for that. Ernie and I attended the Governor's Conference on Economic Development in Albuquerque in September. Learned quite a bit while we were there. One of the things that I was really surprised with is New Mexico is almost out of industrial space, which is good for any city that has industrial park.
Tina, if you
Tina,
would
use the
adjust the
mic.
microphone a little bit, that would
Is that
be helpful.
better?
Yes, that's better.
Okay, thank you. We've responded to 7 manufacturers in the last 3 months that have been looking for land and/or buildings. We have now optioned off all of the land in the industrial park. So that may change down the road. We have 2 companies that are in the same industry, so they are, vying for the same resources. So we may see some of that land come back, but right now, if somebody came to us today, we would not have any land in the industrial park available. We are working with 2 green energy companies that continue to move forward. We have a high-tech, hybrid clean energy company who is working on his state LEDA funding and currently is just waiting on his phase 1 environmental site assessment. So once we have that, he will be coming before you all. We met with the manufacturer about a month ago who is actively looking to move his company from Otero County to Clovis. And we are working with the Chamber on a new film committee that we started last month. So I know that was one of the things in the economic development plan. I've worked with City Manager Justin Holwalt. We were able to create some retail letters that we can customize and use as we're trying to recruit retailers. And I've had several conversations with the new owner of the mall and trying to help him figure out how he can use the Rita for Retail incentive to bring more retail into the mall. We have 1 Retail for LEDA applicant, or LEDA for Retail applicant that whose application is being reviewed by our board, and hopefully we'll have that before you soon. And then last month, we participated with Clovis Remote for Amplify. Ernie Koss was very active in that. It's a career workshop for military spouses. So, Clovis Remote was started by Chase Gentry before he passed, and it's a program that helps train remote workers, and we definitely want to continue forward with that. We are now partnering with Workforce Development, and they are helping to subsidize some of the training for that. And I believe we have a check coming to us for $3,250 for 6 individuals that they are subsidizing. And for some other exciting news, last month we hired Susie Russell, who most of you know. She was the former Region 6 field rep for economic development, state economic development. And she is currently working on our business retention and expansion program. So I'm looking forward to next week to figure out how we're going to tie all that in together. There any questions? No?
I don't see any questions. Thank you very much for the update.
Okay, thank you.
That takes us to for the good of the order. Does anybody have something to add here?
I got a question on when the city does like leasing things, does that come before us, or like where does that go? Like is that just like a you thing, Justin?
No, it's never just a you thing.
Yeah.
And so, I guess trying to understand your question, like leasing property or leasing.
No, Matt just sent me a thing from the newspaper that we did a solar lease?
So that was, yeah, and so that was handled through the city commission, to where we worked with a solar company, and that was just direct. Since that wasn't an economic development project, per se, for asking for funds, so that was just a deal between the city of Clovis and that developer.
Got it. I was just wondering, like, when those type of things happen,
Yeah.
where do we get involved, or do we ever, or what does that look like?
On that
So-
type of particular situation, you wouldn't, since it's not dealing with economic development, it's not dealing with applications that are being filed, requesting, seeking, LEDA funds. And so, that's typically, those projects come through here.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I think we have wrapped us up here, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motioned to adjourn.
All right. Well, we'll do this in the great tradition of Brett. And all in favor, stand up and leave, I guess. Thank you, folks. It's a good meeting.
Thank you, Joseph.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
You're a real team player.
Everyone.